was listening to the panelists, an amazing people. Thank you very much for speaking to the youth. That was very punchy and was speaking to what the knowledge that we are supposed to have as youth. You could see people talking about the failures that they had before this success that we can see today. So one of the things we've seen is the fact that we youth, so because I'm saying one of you, we the youth of today, we just want success, 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 success. You could see that if you were the one that borrowed 12,000 naira to start a business and it collapsed in 2 months, probably you say the next thing is to jackpot. But you see, it did not jackpot. You could say that he has built another entity he's built another entity today that, it has employed a lot of people, and it could be here to speak to. Can we put our hands together for them? Thank you very much. These are amazing people. All right. I'm to be speaking. I believe somebody will control the... okay, fine. So I'm to speak on fostering sustainable growth of African SMEs, the role of strategic academia industry synergy. That is to say, what can you get from you integrating with the university system to build the SME? And you're in the university environment. Yeah, I know for sure that this will have been bigger than this. Unfortunately, our students have been writing exams in the last 1 month. And I think this is the opportunity to get away. Maybe they've all, are gone because today is holiday. But these are the great people. And I know this is being streamed live too. And people can hear us and they can see what we're doing. So be well encouraged that you are here, that it's not crowded, it's even better because you can more and you can get the best. So I will be looking at this from the point of the academia relationship with SME. And we speak with data and show some data for you and the importance of why the SME needs to integrate with research, with what we do, so that we have the capacity to build the SME ecosystem in Nigeria. Are we safe? All right. Okay, so the first thing I talk about is the significance of African SMEs. The reason today that Africa is not a fair continent is still because we have the SME, though not properly structured, though not as strong as it's supposed to be compared to what has happened in the developed world in the global north. Today, the significance of it, I put it in 3 dimensions. The first one is the job creation, because the African SMEs are the one, just like you heard, the 4 speakers, what they've done, what they've been able to do in the ecosystem that they have. How many multinationals do we have? The multinationals employ less than 5% of the people, the big companies, the Unilever of this world, the Shell of this world, the Chevron of this world that everybody wants to work in. They employ less than 5% of the working force. The rest, the reason for which we still have sanity is because the SME is available. And the innovation hubs today, all the innovation hubs you can find around today that are creating the startups or that are supporting many startups that are coming on board, every one of them are pioneered or are powered by one SMEs or the other. The innovation we find in our ecosystem today is not really being ignited by the multinationals, but the SMEs. The fintechs are owned by the SMEs. Most of the things that are bringing technology to our doorsteps, are powered by the SMEs. When you talk about community development, you see that they play a key role in engaging in the community development, because you find most of all, when you go to as big as, how many of you know the Eco Market? Yes, if you live in Lagos, you know Eco Market. You know, very big and massive market. Maybe you have a Mandela's, a big brand, and couple of some of those big brands. Most of the billions of naira that daily exchange hands in Eco Market are driven by those people that you do not know their names. They are driven by the set of people that probably do not wear this tie that I'm wearing. Yes, you have some few banks around the place that they have their headquarters there, but those ones do not do. In fact, without the massive SME in Eco, those banks are useless. You know the banks that are in Eco market, but you don't know the people that are driving, you know, that ecosystem. That is how unstructured the SME system in Africa is, which is the reason, you know, we can grow our GDP, we can grow our wealth. So these are three significance of SME for us to, first of all. So what I'm saying here today, every SME here should be proud that you are not even, you know, you are not chair, you are not a chevron, but you are very, very important into the development of the system. Yes, so for sure, I should talk much about this challenge. For sure, there are challenges, you know, with our SMEs. Again, there are opportunities. We know for sure that the challenges, yes, access to capital, infrastructure, capacity limitations of the owner-managers in terms of knowledge, the knowledge gap, in terms of what they know, in terms of the fact that it's difficult for many of them to grow. One of the panelists was talking about, you know, some of the old people who moved from Kwara to Lagos State. I was listening clearly to what they were saying, and you ask yourself a question. Some of them have grown the businesses to be big, though the accounting structure is in jeopardy. But they know that if I buy a 10 naira, I must add to the 10 naira if I want to sell. They may not be able to capture everything most of the time, or when they are stealing their goods, because the goods are still many, they may not be able to understand how to take stock. But in a way, they've grown the businesses, you know, all through the challenges to be where they are. All they just need is just a little structure. You structure that kind of business because I'm a professor of entrepreneurship and business. Some of them are as vast as I am. Even some of them are more intelligent because they've been on the street and they got all the skills from the street. All they need is just a little bit of structure for them to be better. And that is what we're not paying attention, which is equally a great challenge. The market complexity, like I've, you know, mentioned. So, for purpose of knowledge, you see there can be three business environment anywhere in the world. The environment can be what we call dynamic, which is the natural state of the business environment. The environment can be complex, which is supposed to be when the act of God happened, you know, war, earthquake, and all of those things. Yeah, it makes the environment, or like the COVID-19 that happened that time, you know, it creates a complex environment. The third one is supposed to be a static environment, an environment that does not change. The way it was yesterday, so it is today, so it will be tomorrow. So most of the time in business, we say the static environment does not actually exist because no matter what, you know, something will ignite a change. A complex environment is only supposed to happen when, you know, things beyond the control of man happens. But the natural state of business environment is the fact that you have a free entry to a market and a free exit to a market. So you ask yourself a question that from our study, what is the Nigerian environment? Unfortunately, the Nigerian environment is dynamically complex. So that's my study over the years. So we run a dynamically complex environment. Because in a dynamic environment, all you're supposed to do is scenario planning for you to be able to determine, what to do per time. The change will come. You only need to synthesize what will happen and you're able to plug into it. But unfortunately, the dynamism in the Nigerian business environment is so extremely complex that, you do not even know what you run. So that in itself is a challenge because our own political terrain is so complex that at times, if you belong to that political terrain, you may win today and take advantage of the market, and tomorrow the same political terrain may ruin you and take you off the market. So the question of whether to belong or not to belong at times itself is a serious challenge. That itself is part of the complexity I try to talk about. But there are opportunities. The opportunities today are the advancement in technology and the growing consumer demand. These are new prospects. That is the reason why OPay and Money Point could come from nowhere. Like I was teaching in my executive MBA class during the week. You remember the old generation bank for some of our elderly ones in this place. GT Bank came, Intercontinental came in the 1990s, and Standard Trust Bank came to displace First Bank, Trade Bank, and Union Bank. And they gave them a chase. They were almost sent out of the market because they were just armchair bankers. And the so-called, we call new generation bankers, the cowboys then, came on board and almost displaced those big banks. At the end of the day, Union Bank, went down, was bought over, those things, some of you in business, and at least First Bank, too big to fail, at least, needed to be supported, to be standing. And many of those banks, Trade Bank went down, and many of Societe Generale went down, and many of those big banks, went off. You will have thought that even the new generation bank will learn. When you look at the transaction that happened just last year, 66% of the transactions were done by OPay, Money Point, and PalmPay. So I said in my class, in the next 18 months, you may not find the banks. And I was very correct. You could see that the CBN is coming aboard now to say they should do what? They should recapitalize. So, you see, these are SMEs. These are the SMEs that built, they developed what we have today. Unfortunately, this research is available. We've been doing it. There are some of us that we've been doing it, but we do not have a nation at time that listens, that hears, and even some of the private sectors that are here, you do not engage with the university system to get some of this to integrate into your planning so that the future can be better. Give me the next slide. So, the synergy that can happen when there is that kind of relationship which, I congratulate Treasure on for trying to spark this up to work with the academic environment. These are the things that are possible. Research and innovation. I think it was just on Thursday, I was a guest speaker in one of our programs in the university, and I was talking about commercialization of research. I was speaking to our colleagues on how they should now begin to commercialize their research and the need for the industry to work with us for this benefit. So research and innovation is one of the greatest benefits when the SMEs and the industry work together with us. Definitely knowledge transfer. The only thing I do in my life is to study what does not concern me. I wake up in the day to begin to read about what does not concern me. When I was talking about, researching into this issue of OPay, the Money Point, what's my business? None of them pays me. If the new generation bank will go down because of them, what is my business? But it's my business. Because that's why I'm a professor. That is what I'm to do, to speak, to prophesy to the society that this is what will happen, you have to take it. This is what will not happen, you have to take it. That is why I'm a professor. That's the meaning of it. So in that regard, I have the opportunity to transfer knowledge to you when you work with me, when you work with the guy in engineering, when you work with the guy in the medical laboratory. So it's an opportunity, is a great one. Capacity building. I heard the Entrepreneurship and Skill Development Center of the university. Today, I support a lot of startups and support a lot of SMEs. And some of the things, because I study what does not concern me. So let me give you another example. Do you have a medical doctor in the house? Any medical doctor? Oh, none. So do you know the reason why a medical doctor cannot treat his family? Because he or she will have emotional attachment to that family. You know, when they carry that needle and they want to choke us, they don't bother. They just put, boom, you know, whether you are crying or not, they don't care. But when it is their daughter, because they know 20 things that can happen with that needle, that can destroy the life of that child. You know, when it is you, they don't care whether it can paralyze or you just put it in there. When you are crying, they say, madam, you are crying with this little thing. But when it's their daughter, because they know 20 things that can happen, they will press this way, they will press this way, they will press that place. And, you know, out of that emotional attachment, they will not do better treatment. That's the reason. As an SME, you can't treat yourself. You can't help yourself most of the times. But the person that has the lens that is looking at everything that has to do with you, it's easy for me to analyze you 100%, and you open your eyes, it looks as if, is this man? There are some people I engage at times when they come to our clinic, that will be, sir, were you in our meeting of yesterday? I wasn't in your meeting of yesterday, but with the moment that you have said this, I know what you're going through. So those are the kind of opportunity. And again, when you work with us, you know, knowledge is transferred to you to be better. And, you know, entrepreneurial support. You're giving the entrepreneurial support because the knowledge is deep, you know, with the academia. The synergy can be built, and, you know, capacity building is what is made possible. A quick one. I hope I'm not boring you, you know. All right. Thank you. So next one. Okay. So one of the things, again, that is possible is for us to make the SME to understand the importance of some set of soft skills that are important for them to do well, for them to know, to really, you know, thrive. And that has to do with leadership and skill development. With some of the SMEs, the reason why it's difficult to know for many of the SMEs to really grow, you know, I was talking about the challenges, and I want to quickly, you know, look at that, is the fact that many of them could not have the requisite skills to lead. So let me take a two-step backward. You know, most of the times, every SME will start as a solo entrepreneur. You are the one that you carry the passion. You are the one, you know what is pursuing you, that want you to go and do this thing. But at a point in time, every solo entrepreneur too prays to grow. So at a point in time, the moment you begin to expand, that is where your first problem comes from. When it is small, you are the driver, you are the accountant, you are the marketer, you are the CEO. It's easy to pick a call and just jump into your vehicle and go and deliver. And your customer will say, oh, you are doing pretty well, you are doing well. But the moment the customers increase to 50, if 20 are calling you at a go, you can only jump into your vehicle and go and deliver, you know, to one, and you don't go there. So this time around now, you need to have like 4 or 5 people alongside, you know, to join you. You always want everybody to jump into the vehicle the way you jump into the vehicle, and to go deliver the way you used to deliver. That is what, yes, supposed to happen. But remember, the passion belongs to you. The goal is yours. You're the one that you started this. It takes time to build people, to get them to see what you are seeing, to do what you're supposed to do. Most of the time, most SME do not have the patience, you know, to build the leadership characteristic that will make other people to follow and do what they're doing. You see them, you know, having a lot of staff turnover, and you see them, being frustrated. Say, when I was doing this thing alone, I didn't have this headache than the one I'm having now. It is your passion, not his passion. So there are some other capability that need to be built by you to understand how to, travel, that route. So most of the time, we have the capacity to bring all of these things, out for you to understand and get to empower with structural leadership development program that can make you to be better. Give, today we are having in design thinking, take you through a very full stream design thinking program that can activate and develop your mindset to be able to walk over any challenge whatsoever that you can think about. And again, I mentioned a lot of SMEs, in our ecosystem. So today, University of Lagos has been the first university to understand this in the nation. We have equally discipled as many nations as possible. In this university, we have 5 ops, pioneered and created, mutually by me. And then we've done that across most of the universities in Nigeria. We've got BOI to be supporting some of these things. And we have gamut of output in terms of how small businesses can thrive and can be run, which was one of the major thing I did in November 28 when I gave the first entrepreneurship public lecture in this university in 60 years, here on this platform, November 28. And it's been a great lecture across, the nation. So it's important for you to connect to it. Mentorship and all of those things. Give me the next slide. Can you be fast a bit with that? Okay, so, and these are some of all the things, are possible. Give me the next slide. Possible for us to take you through when you work with the academic environment. Next slide. So, technology integration. Today, like I'm saying, most of the universities now are understanding the need to work with the SME via what we've driven in ensuring they'll create a lot of hub in the university ecosystem. So we create our students are called the studentpreneurs, who we encourage to create startups. So, and we have digital entrepreneurship program in most of our ops on campus, where we work with outsiders, work with our students, and work with other people, so that we actually want to enable the SME to leverage digital tools for operational efficiency. So when you look at like our NIT hub in the university, there are a lot of students that have been built system engineering students, decoders, who have the capability to give you the simple solution, that accounting solution, that inventory solution, that logistics solution, that that they will work with you in such a way and manner to now digitalize your processes, so that at the end of the day, efficiency can be achieved. And again, we equally, do a whole lot today on e-commerce. And in fact, a lot of our students have a lot of e-commerce platform, and they conduct a lot of pitching competition, and we support them to work with the SME outside. All these things are possible with SMEs, when they work with the academic environment. Okay, quick one. So, global engagement and export readiness. Take, for example, I'll give you an example of this university. We have nothing less than 150 partnerships with the Global North high-ranking universities. Most of them have to do with research, and now research to market. And that is to say, output of research too can be off-taken by many people from the outside the ecosystem for the benefit of what? Internationalization. So there are a lot of, market research output. Some companies, work with us, but we've not, most of the time, we've not seen most SMEs being able to understand that the next stage I'm moving into needs research. Research is very expensive. That's the truth. But your collaboration, it could just be okay walking into the university and say, I want to sponsor a master's student. Do you know what is funny? To sponsor a master's student in this university, because it's very cheap, may not be more than 500,000 naira. So I want to pay the school fees of this full-time master's student, and I want this master's student to look into this area of my business. And this is just for, his master's is for 18 months. I'll pay his school fees. I will pay maybe the lecturer that I will supervise, I'll give honorarium, but this is the problem I have. I've been speaking to a lot of people in the industry that this is the problem I have, go into this problem. The day this master's student want to make presentation, I want to be there because I funded him. And the output of the research, it will come to, do you know what is funny? SMEs. Even when we dabble into the business that does not concern us, and we come to you for data, you will be hiding data. At times I followed my student and I spoke to some of the SMEs. And I said, look, you're only undoing yourself. I walk into this place, sponsor myself, drove my car to come to your office, so you even want to even keep me at time for like 2 hours, and you, rather than you that you have the problem to speak to me, you send a junior officer who does not even understand what is happening in the organization to speak to me. I come in for research, you think I'm wasting your time. If, this is what SME go into Stanford and Harvard and pay heavily so that they can even be used as a case study. So these are the things you need to begin to understand. And that is how we can all continuously, grow the ecosystem and work together to build something, that will be great. So building collaboration to strengthen SME global trade and access to opportunities. Today, I'm more or less like I've been running some programs across the world that we call transnational entrepreneurship program. In US, in Senegal, in Canada. In fact, this university, the Nigerian Canadian Investment Council, was a product of my Vice Chancellor visit and the present Vice Chancellor visit and myself to Canada, where we were talking about the trade between Canada and Nigeria, how very small it was. The trade between Canada and Nigeria is just 18% of the trade we do with the US. So we went there to go speak about it. That was how the then Consular General of Nigeria there understood what we were saying and took it up. And it led to the Nigerian Canada Investment Summit that has brought nothing less than 600, I think 600 billion Canadian dollars in terms of mining and so many other things in the nation. Do you know what was funny? At the third year, the university had to step at that because the businesses, business people have come on board. But we're always very happy to do that we ignited that, and people cannot have handshake with themselves because there are opportunities in that. But when we do not work together, you don't even know the capacity or the opportunity you can get. So that's the primary aim of what I'm speaking to today, to understand that you do better when you have an opportunity to synergize with the academic environment. So when you look at the global North nations, where SMEs have been the bedrock of their economies, you will see this. You see, it's not a rocket science. Ask all the people that have japa, where are they working? None of your brothers and sisters that have japa is working in any multinational companies. If you have 1%, ask them, you have them here. Ask where they are working. They are working in SMEs. They are working in small health, insurance, company. They are working in all these SME. They've only, rather than building the SME in this place, they've gone to slave with the SMEs outside them. I'm always very strong on this Japa of 18 because there's somebody that will build your country for you. This is a land of opportunity. So ask. They've only gone to support the building of SMEs in those ecosystems. And our own ecosystem here is suffering a lot of opportunities. People are not taking the opportunities. SME, employed 95% of all the firms in most of these people. In the United States, you're talking about 87% of the people in the workforce are within the SMEs, ecosystem. Yet, you talk about Fortune 500. When you look at the contribution of, out of the Fortune 500, America should be having close to like 45 to 50% of Fortune 500. Yet, they do not contribute, more than 15, 20% to the economy of the United States. It's not quite unfortunate that we were waiting for Dangote to come and bail us out, to come and Dangote. So what has happened now? Even the same Dangote cement is impoverishing us. If you think that, Dangote are for is going to liberate us. We're just wasting our time. Capitalists will ever be capitalists. But when each and every one of us, we have our small businesses, we build the ecosystem, and many people are employed. So when you look at this, most workers account for 95% of all firms, in the developed world. So evidence suggests a strong correlation between technological savvy of SME and the likelihood they will take part in cross-border trade. So most of those ones that come into this place, technology has equally helped them. All we need to do is infusion of technology, you understand, into our SMEs for them to be able to thrive. You could see how all this SME exportation, from that country to other people, and you won't find any of the SMEs in Africa in this place. So you see, the country that have actually built wet, Switzerland or some of them that are partners, we have understood that they built wet via their SME. So give me the next slide. So, look at the biggest economy. Look at them. Except Morocco in the North Africa, in a way that has equally, understood this, you see, many of the people, many of the countries from the world, you could see the contribution of SME. In Nigeria, the contribution to GDP may not be high, but employment is 85%. Even in the Nigeria we have. But unfortunately, the informal sector is too huge that it's not captured, which is the reason at times we do not even know that the reason why we are still existing as a nation is because of the SME. Because, that sector is old. So you see that the GDP of most of the countries that are doing pretty well, big economy in the world, are driven by SME. Next slide. Okay. Now, when I brought this on board because of the uniqueness of the United States economy and the development you find in the United States today is largely driven by their universities. As a matter of fact, the Silicon Valley you are hearing about was a product of Stanford University. This Silicon Valley you're talking about, that ecosystem was built by Stanford University. So, these are the various universities that create most of the startups that today you find in the ecosystem that will later go to the ecosystem and build, a bigger SME. So that is what we started in the University of Lagos now. We have many of our students today will pass through us, pitch for, some seed fund, got seed fund, get many of them seed funded. I don't know if any one of them is here. Get them seed funded and push them outside there, support them through, to connect with the industry. We're trying our best possible now to see how we can be like these universities. You can imagine, these are the undergraduate, in MIT, in fact, in MIT, at your year 2, success in MIT is at your year 2, if you can register a business, that is the success. Not, here it is still the GPA of 4.95. You understand? So, which is, for me now, some of my colleagues now, I'm a crazy professor. So that's for some of my colleagues. So, and it does not really, matter to me. So, because I've turned all the courses in the university to entrepreneurship. If you're doing engineering, I call it enginepreneurship. If you're doing chemistry, I call it chemipreneurship. If you're doing medicine, I call it medipreneurship. So when you come to my office, if you're doing architecture, I call it archipreneurship. So if you don't find the commerce in your discipline, you're not my friend. If you just want to finish it and go and work, because there is commerce orientation in all disciplines. No matter what. You understand? There is that commerce opportunity in all the disciplines. So for me, I believe that it, sorry, I know we've been having some challenges with power in the university for a few days. Maybe they will restore it for us. So for me, I believe pretty much that everybody needs to find that commerce opportunity. It's important in your discipline. And that is what you've seen that has happened in the US, which today is making all of us, to say, this is a country that is doing pretty well. So I want us to, let me see if I can pull the slide out from here. So for me, it's important that this is equally understood in our own ecosystem in Nigeria, so that in a way we can equally do better. When you look at the MIT in this place, you see that MIT has done with what they captured, I think, which year is it? I think this is 2018 for me, $46 billion from the university in terms of the startup, that have been able to create. So that shows to us that if you can imagine, if this continues every now and then, yeah, they will contribute to the GDP growth of the US. And apart from the contribution to the GDP, they are going to contribute to, to the jobs and many other things, that will really help, the ecosystem to function very well. So, and equally, there were the next slide to it that was talking about some of the other institutions, the 100, the 100 best universities that are supporting the building of startups in their various countries. And you discover that you won't find any African university there. So that is what we actually understand now, that we're pushing very strongly in University of Lagos. Like I kept on saying, we want to become the Stanford of Africa, because we're in the art of, like I kept on saying, Lagos is the 4th largest economy in Africa. Lagos, as if Lagos was to be a country. After Nigeria, South Africa, Egypt, it is Lagos. That's the 4th largest economy. And as a university, we're in the center of it. And if you're in the center of it, it's important that we begin to turn out and shun out, a whole lot of studentpreneurs who will do pretty well and very well at the end of the day. So we're focusing on that, and we're giving ourselves like 5 years for us to be able to know to do. My time is, okay, so, all right. So, pretty much it's just so. Let me just, what do we expect the government to do? We are saying that it is important, I've talked about the SME, that it is important that the SME understand that they have this opportunity with the university system to support them, or research institute for them to do better. The government must therefore understand that they must, they must be in between this with policies that will support the university even system to deliberately support the SMEs. And we equally make many of the SMEs to move through the laboratory of the university system in standardizing most of the things that they're doing. You see, if this kind of relationship is ignited or is supported by a very intentional kind of policy, definitely we'll be able to grow the ecosystem. And lastly, the informal sector of our economy is so huge. There is a need for the government to attempt to formalize this sector. It is not by saying you must come and pay tax, and that is the major problem. Why those people in the informal sector will continue to stay there, because I am not captured in the radar and I'm not paying tax. But many of them will have been able to grow. You imagine, if not recently, that that support is coming for people that make adire. You know what is called adire? You understand? It's a huge industry. And that industry in the last 200 years in this nation has remained largely informal. Look at, in the last 5 years, the formality that is now, connected to it in terms of some set of people in the creative economy that I say, hey, this is our identity. Can you see, what is, happening with it now? People will come. The last conference I had, that I had in this place, many of my colleagues from the US, from UK, from Germany, were asking me, we want to buy indigo. We saw something that's called indigo, and it was a professor of a creative artist, professor of textile, that did that indigo thing, you know, in the nation that time. And we needed to go look for how, and I was shocked. I didn't even know that it was as much as like 65,000 naira to buy 5 yachts. And I had to call the professors and I had to tell, okay, if you need this grade and that. And they were happy when they got it. Except when I was coming, my wife told me, buy me indigo clothes. So, and then I was telling Prof, you could see some of these things, you know, the benefit of them. So, it's important for us to collaborate to build a stronger nation. Nigeria is the China of Africa, and Nigeria has the capacity to deliver what China is doing. If China could, Nigeria can. It begins with you and I. Thank you very much.
We can do better than that. That was a very beautiful opening speech. Thanks a lot for sharing your wealth of insight with us. We really appreciate that. I hope we're able to take one or two things from that.